now, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, let me take this opportunity for inviting our first speaker. This presentation is by the General Manager and Head of Technology Audit, Internal Audit HBL. Please welcome Mr. Hussein Hassan Ali.
Thank you very much, Sidra. Assalamu alaikum to all of you. And like Sidra said, we are getting to the end. So here we are. I'll keep it very fast, and we'll move fast through this because we've gone through quite a bit today, a lot of material to digest, and I want to actually take you in a different direction. So let's go through some things that we've been seeing all day. We've spoken about all of the other part, what happens subsequently. Now let's talk about an area that we don't really focus on. And we saw earlier when Faraz was presenting the survey, he said cybercrime, as per management, has a very high percentage, but it's rated as very highly. But when you're looking at compliance professionals, they are rating it as a very low risk comparatively. So why is that the case? So I thought what we would do is bring together some facts and figures to the table. Now here is 2020, when we had the InfoSec. The Chief Operating Officer, Sagir Mufti Saab, he had said this, and it is something which makes everyone wake up when they are thinking of doing business online. The COVID-19 pandemic has paced up Pakistan's transformation into a true digital economy. And we are seeing that. That's been moving. We are seeing the food pandas, daras, we're seeing all of the businesses that have come online. However, banks are estimated to lose 1 billion in online frauds every year. Every year. Think of that number. And if that's going to happen, how many are going to continue to survive? What needs to be done? If the growing cybersecurity challenges remain unaddressed, the digitalization would become a hindrance toward the dreamed growth rather than a boon, right? Now, what's being done in this space? So, if we look at these figures, you've got some of the biggest attacks that have happened, and this talks of 3,000 million data breaches, Yahoo. And McAfee had predicted in 2015 that this will keep on rising. And we are seeing it is keeping on, it is going on, and it will go on. There are various sorts of attacks. I deleted that slide earlier today because I didn't want to go there. There's too much to cover in this much time. But you may want to visit this Hackmageddon and see the sort of attacks that are happening and how they've been escalating. Then we see what's happening globally in terms of how cyber risk is being viewed. 2019, it was already amongst the top 5. And for over 22% of organizations were viewing it as number 1, as their number 1 risk. Now, if we keep that moving, why is that happening? Why is that such a high risk? Because there hasn't been enough focus on it at the senior table. And that's where the focus needs to come. But that's being forced as we see it happening. Earlier, there used to be this thing about make cybersecurity an agenda for the board. Now, the CISO is being invited to present over there. And so we see that happening now with time. We need to wake up to the fact that this is also something that, is going to, sorry, I moved forward. Yeah. So this is also something that needs to be considered because FATF has brought this forward. Cybercrime is one of the newly defined predicate offenses, right? And so we all need to start focusing on this. And somebody has said, from compliance, that the risks that we see in other areas, credit risk, market risk, all of those seem very small when you think of the attacks that are possible. in a cyber attack. Think of what happened with Bangladesh Bank. And I'll show you a few other things that are happening. But here, compliance professionals, AML teams are supposed to watch out for proceeds of crime, proceeds of cyber crime, how they are coming into the financial systems, how they are being laundered. We have the cyber intrusion element well covered. Cyber attacks, everyone is covering. But this part is not being covered adequately. Proceeds of cybercrime are not being tracked. And we can see when Bangladesh happened, out of the $81 million that were siphoned off, 15 million have still not been recovered. And that is because one of the reasons is governments are not willing to collaborate globally. Today I'm not going to cover what these professionals, compliance professionals should be doing, but some questions are there which I would like you to discuss or to just go over. And this is just takeaways as questions for compliance professionals. Do financial investigators in banks think about spotting proceeds of cybercrime? Can they distinguish proceeds of cybercrime from other types of money laundering? Have this conversation with your compliance teams. What types of cybercrimes are being reported in SARS? And the different factors to consider when trying to work out how risky a particular crypto exchange is for a bank. We were talking about earlier that there's only one circular from State Bank on cryptocurrencies, not to handle it. But what if we start handling it? What will happen then? And what typologies would you encourage compliance teams to look for? How would they get around doing this? At present, you need to see what is being done, what is happening. And what do banks do currently regarding monitoring for suspicious activity and cryptocurrency payments? These are happening, like, the gentleman Nadeem Hussain Saab said. So I've got an example approach, thinking of what are the opportunities for cyber criminals, and then countering that with what are the opportunities for law enforcement agencies, how should they be working, what information do regulated entities, that is banks, already have, processes that they have the KYC, CDD, AML, indicators of suspicious transactions. But the challenges are for the law enforcement. Cooperation, that's lacking. Understanding and detecting online proceeds. There are some changing realities, and I'll move through this very, very quickly. These are the challenges. Businesses have moved on, they've moved online. They have not really managed to capture the cyber security part of it. And that they need to build up very fast. Otherwise, they'll suffer losses, like Sagir Saab pointed out. The particular challenge for Pakistan is the lack of cybersecurity or the shortage of cybersecurity professionals. The global demand, and we'll come to that in a minute, is, I'm skipping the predictions that Gartner has done. You can search for it online. There are 8 very, very important predictions on cybersecurity that Gartner has done, and very important for us to consider. But I'll move to this slide. I think a number of us will have seen this before. This is the Cisco chief CEO saying there are 2 types of companies. Those that have been hacked and those who don't yet know they have been hacked. For Bangladesh Bank, they said the hackers had been sitting in the system for about 6 months, and the bank didn't know. And most organizations don't know. And there are many examples of this. So this is, the FBI director in 2012. This is when the whole thing kicked off for a cybersecurity framework and all of it. He said there are only 2 types of companies: those that have been hacked and those that will be. And even that is merging into one category: those that have been hacked and will be again. Chilling words. Let's see the Pakistan scenario. big game hunting. You've seen big organizations being caught up in this. We've seen some very, very big, I won't mention the name of the bank, most of you know that, but we know about the ransomware attack on a utility company. The demand was $38 million. Nadra you saw, FBR, National Bank, the list goes on. And unfortunately, like I said, the shortage of skills. In 21, it was predicted 3.5 million. In 25, it's supposed to be 8 million shortage. Where will we find the people? So finally, cybersecurity is a journey, right? You need to keep building, keep on doing the right thing. And there is a crossover between cybercrime and regulatory compliance that we need to consider. Threats and fraudsters are evolving, so should our measures. Thank you very much.